And welcome. Hello, everybody. We are beyond excited to be here with all of you. You're our friends, you're our family, you're our colleagues. You are all a part of this film. Every single one of you helped us cross the finish line. Truly, we are forever grateful to each and every one of you. I also want to give a special shout out to a couple of people who are not a part of the panel tonight. Bo Jarvis, who instilled his belief into this film from negative day one. I can't even say day one. He was the inspiration for us making this film. And also to John Breinholt, who is our dear post-production producer, who really got us through this film in a way that we could never have on our own. So thank you so much. I'm Linda Balaban. For those of you who don't know me, I am the producer of Garage, and we hope you had a chance to watch the film today. And if not, don't worry, the link will be available through Monday. So first off, I'd like to introduce to you guys our moderator for this evening, my dear friend and colleague, Robin Stanton. Robin is a critically acclaimed director with extensive experience in new play development. Her work in notable theaters such as Steppenwolf, Chicago Dramatists, Dallas Theater Center, the Aurora Theater Company in Berkeley. These production houses have garnered numerous honors from Chicago's Joseph Jefferson Award, which I saw that play. She earned that. After Dark Award committees, San Francisco Bay Area Theater Critics, and the National Endowment for the Arts, among many. We are blessed to have Robin step in and moderate this discussion. Robin, take it away.
Thank you so much, Linda. And it's an honor to be here among all of you, such a tremendously talented cast, wonderful designers, and an audience that is made up of producing partners who cared so much about such an important subject. And that's where I want to start, because this is tough subject matter. It's handled with such beauty and such finesse that it's accessible. And part of the reason it's so accessible is because of the style it was chosen, the genre it was chosen of horror, because it allows us to dig deeply into character moments and reactions and really get us into all that difficult subject matter. So congratulations for you artists who have created such a beautiful work in such a short amount of time. And to you folks who are producing partners, it's astounding what you've done. And I'm honored to be here. I'd like to do this in three parts. First of all, I'd like to introduce you to the producing team and have some dialogue with them. Then I'd like to bring in the artists and talk to the actors, and we have the composer with us tonight, so that's special. And then finally, Q&A. So if you came in with questions about the work or questions develop during the process, please go to, as Linda said, you can go down to the chat and you can write your question in there, and we'll get to as many as we can. And once again, just a reminder, keep yourselves on mute as we through the process. So first, I'd like to introduce this producing team. Aaron Sanders, the writer and the director. He's also an award-winning novelist, and Speakers of the Dead, a Walt Whitman mystery, his latest novel, and it's really terrific. So if you get the opportunity to read that, it's wonderful. He won't tell you this because he's a humble man, but he's a man of letters, Dr. Aaron Sanders, but we have permission to call him Aaron tonight. Then there's Liz Balaban, also co-writer on the project and a producer who has brought her a lifetime of experience in the entertainment industry to this project. And sometimes I feel like our work sometimes culminates in really special pinnacle moments. And this, I think, must be one for Linda, something she was meant to do. She for many years was a producer on the wonderful HBO show Curb Your Enthusiasm. So that's two of the four. Melissa Daniels is the executive producer, and Melissa, a miracle worker. We the People is her commercial company, which brings original content for marginalized voices and their allies. And the amazing thing to me is that with this project and all the other projects she does with the artists and attracting and then bringing all of you producing partners in, she is effectively making the we, the us. And so, Melissa, that is a miracle to me. She also just finished a feature film directed by Ty Hodges called Venus as a boy. And if you go to her video website, you're going to see multiple music videos they're really terrific. So it's a pleasure to be in the same room with you, Melissa. Jamie Marich is a consultant producer on the project. She is a world-renowned clinical trauma specialist and author. She travels internationally teaching on topics related to trauma, such as EMDR therapy, expressive arts, mindfulness, and yoga, while maintaining a private practice and online education operations from her home base in Warren, Ohio. So it's a pleasure to be here again with you all. And I think I want to start with you, Aaron, if I can, because theater and film for many is known as a healing art. But every time I've seen this film, I find it miraculous that you have managed to take the traumatic experiences of your life and turn it into art. What's that process like?
Well, thank you, Robin, for doing this, and for to all of you for being here. The process for me was, well, when I was really struggling, the only place I felt safe was writing. And I wondered I wondered why that was. And I think in part it's because I have control over what I write. And so I can create stories that are entirely contained for me. So even though they go to very dark places, I know where the secret escape routes are, and where the levers are that can safely get me out of those. And so when a lot of people think that that it might have been triggering or upsetting for me to make this movie, for example, and it's been quite the opposite, because I think for me as a survivor, and for other survivors that I've spoken to, being heard is like one of the most powerful experiences and parts of recovery. So I don't know, luxurious isn't the right word when you're talking about being a survivor, but it's a luxurious position in a way to be able to be heard so often. And it's also really powerful to hear that other people find healing and power in me sharing my story too, because not everyone is able to do it. So so for me, and maybe it's because I'm a trained writer and I've been doing it for many years, but it was the most natural thing in the world to move into that space and to try and, get at the event that happened to me in different ways as a way of healing. I just want to mention one more thing. Tim O'Brien wrote this amazing novel called The Things They Carried. And in that novel, he works very hard to get at this very traumatic event that happened to him in Vietnam. And the way he does it is he just keeps telling the same story from different perspectives over and over and over. And the effect of that novel is that it washes over you and creates a kind of a better kind of truth because of all the attempts to tell it as honestly as possible. So, yeah.
So it makes it possible to walk away from your desk in an objective state. What's it like casting your demons? And you had to go through the process of matching the essences of these people in your memory and your
Well,
with actors who are addicted.
Well, the casting process was maybe the one process that was quite a bit different for me. I think that I had worked so hard on words for so long, with the blog first and then the script second, that when it got to casting, when I saw Mark's audition video, I haven't told him this, but I like burst into tears. And I was like, that's the guy. He did it so convincingly and so powerfully. And I remember texting Melissa about it, and she had the same reaction, but I just knew that was him. And it was the same with Adam and with Seth, that it was so clear to me that these were the people. Like, there wasn't any debate. So it was strange. And I would like to write an essay about that, I think, at some point, just because it was so weird. But ultimately it was, I think that then working with the actors and then doing the film and then seeing the film, even that was healing, because it's a way of like dipping your toe back into the waters of trauma in a safe way and then being able to pull back. So.
Robin, before we move on.
And do you two?
I'm sorry. Our Wi-Fi is just acting a little funny, so I'm just going to take a quick, 2-second technical break and switch over to the right network. Okay, are we back? We good?
I'm here.
Okay, great.
So this is a really personal venture for you, Linda, and you're obviously experiencing it as a producer, and also going through it as an ally. And I'm wondering, what's it like to balance that, just as you're trying to also balance your commitment to the film and to your partner, to your life partner?
Well, I mean, Aaron and I are not just work really well together. We always have. And so I'm like, being an ally of Aaron's is like breathing air for me. I mean, it's really, there's like nothing to balance for me. It's just always been that way. Producing, when he looked at me and said that we were going to make this film and he wanted me to produce it, I almost threw up. That's really because I had really walked away from production several years ago, and and I had left behind a creative path, 21 years before that. And the idea of going back to production made me sick. And I had to call a couple people and think it through. And then I just thought, I can get somebody to do that kind of producing. And that's when we found Melissa, thank God, who came in and just was like the most amazing person we could have found to work with, who believed in this project. And once I realized we could do that, everything opened up. And I felt like I was really able to, I don't know, just to work in tandem with Aaron. And I mean, I watched him work his buns off for many, many months before any of you ever, heard that we were even making this film. Aaron had, and I, but really Aaron had been working for many months to prepare.
And then Melissa, we live in Los Angeles where there are creatives all over. Every time you walk out your door, I imagine you run into a few hundred of them. And people in this city particularly have such local and global missions. How do you filter what's important to you? Who is important for you to support? And what brought you on to Garage?
Muted.
You're muted, Melissa.
How's that?
Perfect.
Great. First of all, thank you guys so much for including me. I'm so excited to be here and just already feel so fulfilled in being part of this conversation. But first and foremost, Aaron, the bravery that you have shown in this whole process from my perspective as a producer and also as an ally has been one of the most beautiful things about this project and this process. So thank you for sharing everything with all of us. But to answer some of your questions, I mean, I come from this school of thought that I think everybody inherently is creative. And so we all have our stories to tell, and based on our lived experiences, those give us the ability to live out our own creativity in whatever career or walk of life you happen to path you decide to walk down. What drew me specifically to this project is so loaded. I was so grateful to have been linked up with Aaron and Linda through another co-producer of mine at We the People, Ksenia. And she passed me the script and she's like, it's a little heavy. I'm not sure what you're gonna think, but like, take a look and see what you think. And immediately, the first time I read the script, I cried. And I cried because I think there's so many people in the world that have been victims of abuse and sexual abuse and childhood sexual abuse. And, I have several people in my life, including my mother, who have suffered years of abuse themselves. And so it was sort of like therapeutic reading the script, in that being able to have validation from seeing, experiences that other survivors have had, but then also having lived your own trauma and seeing what it's like to be stuck in a trauma loop, and actually having somebody so beautifully depict that in a script and then consequently on screen has been therapeutic for me as well. I mean, I think no matter what you've experienced in your life, a lot of us have experienced trauma, myself included. And so having somebody validate what it is to experience that trauma and have these types of experiences, but then also work to normalize the recovery process. I think that aspect of what we have created is what drew me to this project in the first place. I mean, I've always wanted to tell a story around survivors and step into that space. Never really knew how it was going to happen, but I think God, the universe, it all sort of like, we all gravitate towards each other at a certain regard. And so I think this was just like something that was meant to be, and we found each other, and I had the beautiful privilege of being able to produce this film.
And do you feel a personal connection with all the producing partners that sign on to projects like this, with all of these folks sitting in the room right now? What connection do you feel with them?
I mean, I think specifically for this project, it's such a process to be able to step into a space where you're telling a story that is so inherently heavy, but also cathartic. And so I think those types of experiences being on set are what bond you. Whether you're making a commercial or a music video or a feature film or a short film, in this instance, the bond that you create on set with your crew is a very sacred one. And so for me as a producer, I always try and make sure that our vibe on set is just like one of like true collaboration. It strips away ego so that we're able to actually create a space where all of us creatives feel safe. And when you feel safe, you're able to really unleash that creativity. And so I think that translates very well in this project and on this screen. I think you see that from her lighting design to the production design, the casting, wardrobe, just everything just really comes together beautifully.
Thank you. Thank you. Jamie, this is obviously a beautiful example of art and healing, the healing arts. What brought you into this particular venture, and how do you see it being used in the future to help those victims and allies out there?
I met Erin through a common friend, and I was just immediately gravitated to what Erin puts out in the world. From reading his blog, from us having some interactions about our own shared recovery journeys, I just knew this guy was the real deal. And my ears perked up when I heard this idea of a trauma narrative through the horror movie genre. Because a lot of my clients, a lot of people I worked with love those types of films, love horror, love terror films. I personally love disaster films. And a lot of people have a hard time putting their finger on it, but it makes a lot of sense. If you've lived that journey. And even when I started sharing Erin's work with some of my community, because I train a lot of trauma therapists, so many people were excited to hear that this movie was even going to be out there in the world. And how I see it being used, I mean, not only am I a trauma specialist, because I do a lot of technical therapies that we have available now and really kind of brain shaping therapies for trauma, yet I'm an expressive artist at my core, and expressive arts therapy is one of the forms that I specifically do. The reason I'm alive today as a survivor, who I often say I lived about 19 years past my shelf life, because my journey was deep when I was in my early 20s. But I just made this connection the other day that once recovery presented itself to me and once therapy presented itself to me, I think the reason I was able to go deep with emotion is because I'd been playing music my whole life, because I'd been on stage in some capacity my whole life, either doing theater or dancing. Writing was also a big passion that I developed, and the arts were always there for me as a kid in some form, even if it was going to my basement, putting on the Mickey Mouse record player and dancing spontaneously. So it just made so much sense to me when I began working professionally as a therapist to integrate expressive arts. And part of the mission of expressive arts therapy as a field and as a form is that we really take an all of the above approach. So art therapy, dance therapy, and music therapy tend to be the big three that get recognition. But part of what expressive arts therapy works with is the fusion of those three and many other different forms, which can include filmmaking, either film study or filmmaking. And so it's so clear to me in watching this film and seeing the process of how it was put together, how this was a processing journey for Erin. Mm-hmm. And I think by him sharing that journey, it's going to help people who watch this film, whether it's in professional settings, whether it's something they call up on the internet, to be able to link some of the dots themselves. And I think that's when expressive arts is working at its best, when we as seekers get a glimpse into someone else's journey. And it helps us to connect a lot of our own dots and maybe be inspired to get creative ourselves. Because I totally agree with what Melissa said. Everybody's inherently creative. Everybody's inherently expressive. We've just been trained to believe we're not. Whether that was from a mean teacher, a mean director, a mean parent, or just this kind of societal thing that gets thrown on us that you have to be original to be creative. You have to be on HBO to be creative. You have to have a museum quality piece hanging up on your wall to be that you've produced to be creative. And that's nonsense. All creative means is that you're making, that you're expressing something that needs to come out from your body, mind, and soul.
Well, I would like to invite those creatives that didn't believe anybody who ever would dare to tell them that they weren't creative. Our marvelous cast of this film, and the wonderful composer. I'm going to start by introducing Adam Kaufman. Adam has a wonderful list of recurring roles to his resume. He's appeared on State of Affairs, Steven Spielberg's Taken, Buffy and the Vampire Slayer, and Dawson's Creek. Mark Collier, Adam played Joshua. Mark Collier played Corey, and Mark has many years on what some say are the best training ground, and then place to show off, which are soap operas in this country. And I've had numerous friends who have spent years on soaps, and all of them are gifted, brilliant actors who were blessed with being able to act every single day. Mark was on Days of Our Lives in a leading role, and also As the World Turns. I tip my hat to you, Mark. His appearances also include in television Jane the Virgin, Never Have I Ever, and Station 19. Seth Braverman plays young Joshua and is just wonderful in that role. Do you know that, Seth, how wonderful you are in that part?
Well, thank you, first of all.
You're welcome. He also appeared in Upstream and Olivia Dunkley's It Isn't Christmas. And then we have a voiceover of Mom, of young Josh's mom, wonderfully done by Annet Gomes. Annet is currently a writer and communications planner for the Department of Defense in Washington, D.C. So I personally want to thank you for your service to our country. God bless you and thank you. She is also the CEO of What a Voice Communications and a children's book author. So thank you all for the work you've done. It's really transformative. It's so obviously transformative. I'd like to start, Mark, with you, because 12 minutes is not a lot of time for film. And the range that you bring to this is just amazing. The charm that we see and the seductive personality that could be every man juxtaposed to the tormentor. And I wonder how you approach this antagonist, because you have so little time and you do so much. I think you're muted, Mark. There you go.
There we go. Well, first off, thank you very much for saying what you said. I really wanted to be a part of this film, and I think that that's something that definitely drove me, because I saw the breakdowns for this film, and I had gone into the website, and so I got a hold of my agents. I said, "Look, I really want to be a part of this film, so please make sure I get submitted for this." And they did, and sure enough, the role of Corey came back. So from there, I pretty much hit it. The first thing I did was I spoke with a healthcare professional to get a better understanding of the psychology of a pedophile, and then I was able. Aaron and I've never been able to talk to a director as much as I was able to talk to Aaron, and we talked day after day after day. And, I really applaud his bravery, because, we're talking about very vulnerable things of which he has a great knowledge on the subject matter. So, it was interesting to be able to talk to him, and we really worked through a lot of things. We just happened to click off each other really well and come up with different ideas and different things. And exactly what you're talking about was what we were doing, which was, given the psychology of Corey, how was I going to go about getting what I needed to get? How was I going to go about doing it? And what did I want? How was I going to get there? And so basically, we realized, look, I've got to gain the trust of him. I have to get him to trust me. So, that's why you squat down to his level, or talk to him, or endear yourself to him, or listen to him, and bond over the teddy bear, get him to laugh, anything you can do. And that's what manipulators and predators do, is they pull you in, and they get you to trust them. And because I needed to get him off the big wheel. And so, that Aaron and I were able to come up with a lot of different ideas in the preparation of how to make that happen and make that work. And then when we had, juxtaposed to the, seeing adult Joshua, which was now, you're seeing Corey without the facade, without the mask. Now you're seeing the evil. Now you're seeing the darkness. Now you're seeing the violence. And so, and I think that, the way they just shot everything, it came out really great. And the music with it was just extraordinary, which lent to it so well. And, I think I was just really thankful, especially to Linda and Aaron and all the people involved in the casting, because Aaron and I had talked about this, which is, a lot of times when this role is cast, especially only in television and film, are they this scary, creepy looking person. And in real life, that's not really the way it is. You always hear the stories of, he was just the guy next door, and he was so nice, and he was so sweet, and he was so charming. And obviously, unfortunately, that's what they use. But I'm glad that they, stepped out of the box and that, because I think that lent some authenticity to it, because that really is the way it happens. And like I said, I was just happy to be a part of it. I think that, this in conjunction with 72hourhold.com, hopefully is going to open up some sort of level for healing for people on levels. I like Melissa said, there's so many people that are going through it or have gone through it, and so hopefully people will be able to see this and let some level of healing be able to come in. So
I gotta say, Mark, too, that the chemistry of you all is just amazing. Your chemistry with Seth, it's just terrific, Seth. And your chemistry with Adam in the face-to-face scene in the garage is just a testament to the casting. It's a testament to your acting. It's a testament to the writing. It's just marvelous work on everybody's part. And Adam, I got to tell you, my favorite thing about your work, and I could probably go on for an hour, but I'll try to be brief here. One of my favorite things about your work is that there are two elements for me. There's your dialogue on the phone, for instance, and then there are the long silences in which I don't just watch you reacting, but I'm actually watching decisions being made, thoughts. I'm hearing your thoughts on screen. The stories being told to me in silence, and it's testament to what a wonderful actor you are. But I'm wondering, and maybe you don't want to give away the process of your secrets of your process, but I'm wondering, how did you approach those two situations, dialogue and this consciousness, thread of subliminal consciousness?
Dialogue is easy. I learned it. The rest of it, when Aaron and I FaceTimed after I'd gotten the part, he asked me if I'd ever experienced anything like this. I'm assuming, I think he had said, like, he felt like because of my audition, like maybe I had gone through something similar. I have not. The short, easy answer is, in my process, at least when it came to this, there are times when you read dialogue, and any other actor will say this, it's so easy to memorize the lines. It's not even like memorizing. It's just so written well and written like how normal people speak. And obviously the audition scene was the phone conversation, and it was just a real conversation. And clearly that's because that's a conversation that Aaron and Linda had. So it's real, and it just kind of seeps in. It's just simple. I don't really know how to explain it. I didn't work with anybody to do the audition. I just had a friend. I went to his place and he put me on tape. We did one take and that was it. It's your imagination. You are the character. You are everything that happened in the story. And that just was easy for me. I just was able to go there. I don't know how to explain that. I mean, there are times where I might have to do research and really work really, really hard to kind of feel like I'm able to bring a character to life. I didn't feel that way with this project. I just immediately clicked with it. So it was just something inside of me. It was like that. There are those moments, those like sparks of magic as an actor. It's kind of like the drug you're always chasing. And this was one of those projects for me.
Well, thank you for your emotional accessibility is just, it's just astounding. And I think really helps the audience understand the trauma, the experience of the trauma itself, because we get to sit in a dark room and emotionally experience with you that pain and horror and the 4,000 other things you're experiencing. Thank you so much. Seth,
Pleasure.
I got a question. Seth, I got a question for you. Now, I love this scene when you're on the tricycle, okay, because your mom is calling your name and I know you know the rules. It's just beautiful what you're doing. I know you know not to talk to strangers. I know you know your mother's calling. And then I know when you make the decision to do something else because Mark wants you to. And I'm wondering what it is about acting that you love so much, because I think that's the thing that might make you so good, is how much you love acting. Do you know why you love acting?
Well, really, I think I love acting. It's just a fun thing to do, and like whenever I'm acting, I just feel happy, and it just makes me feel good.
Did you work a long time on this? And do you work with your folks?
Well, I mean, for the audition, it didn't take much time. Usually when I'm doing auditions, it takes like about an hour or so to get like a good scene. But for this audition, it just clicked with me. It was simple and straightforward. It worked and just felt like I was actually the character and this was me.
You did a wonderful job, Seth. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Annette, what brought you to do this? And you are everybody's mother's voice, I have to say. Thank you so much. What brought you to this?
Well, for two things. One is, for those of you that don't know, Linda and I actually went to high school together. So that beautiful soul, I wasn't going to say no to anything that she was involved in. That's number one. Number two, it's the subject matter. And like you said, it's tough because I am also a survivor. And it changes you in ways that you don't even imagine. And so I have that kinship with Aaron. We've had a lengthy discussion when I was actually voicing that part that day. But for me, the person was a family member. So imagine all these years having that bottled up, and it changes you in ways that I can't even begin to explain. But some kind of way, I made it and I thrived. So for me, it's healing. And for Aaron to put this out there, I mean, what else could I possibly say? I had to be a part of it. I had to be a part of it.
Does it help you take an action to be a part of this, to be a part of something like this?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm speaking for myself. I have finally gotten to the place, I'll be 54 next month. I've finally gotten to a place where I can talk about it and not cry.
Wow.
And not cry. And I had a family member, I was telling Linda and Aaron not long ago, tell me, I know something happened to you, but I don't want to know.
Wow.
That just messed me up. So there's little triggers that will happen. There's little triggers, and people need to understand we don't just get over it. We can manage it, but I never wanted to be a parent because I was scared to death something would happen to a child.
So you're hoping this project goes, you're hoping this project can
Absolutely.
be used as a therapy also, as an entertainment.
If I could have emptied my bank account, I would.
Wow.
It's just that important to me.
Wow, Annette. Well, thank you. Thank you for being a part of it.
Thank you.
Thank all of you. I'd like to bring in the marvelous composer with you now. Jay Gruska is an Emmy and Genie, which is the Canadian Academy Award Academy Awards nominee, and his extensive resume, or hits, I should say, includes songs that have appeared at number 1 through number 10 on the Billboard charts, in adult contemporary, in country music, in the dance charts, in pop music, and he's worked in film and television shows, seen in over 50 countries, and written scores for theatrical musicals also. And Jay, I want to welcome you, and I want to tell you how wonderful the work is, how much variety, again, how much variety that you've contributed to the piece with the different styles that exist, and going from this genre of horror through, the different stylings. It's really breathtaking. It captures emotion, and certainly solidly defines the film in the horror genre. How did you accomplish that? How did you accomplish that?
First of all, I think you're doing an amazing job. I've learned so much in the last 30 minutes or however long we can do.
Well, listen, it's easy because all I'm doing is responding to the brilliant work of all these wonderful people. I could do this all day and all night.
Well, it's certainly, over a dinner conversation with Aaron and Linda, I don't know, a year ago, I think. And they mentioned the project, and kind of even before they said what the project was, I basically was ready to just jump in. But then when I realized how personal and really intense this and revealing this could be, I was all in. But to answer your question, I sort of reverse engineered my compositional approach. When I watched it, the horror genre was obvious in there. With the first time, first of all, Seth, you did an incredible job, but when Mark came on screen, it scared the crap out of me. And now I'm seeing this soft face, and that's just a testament to his acting ability. But anyway, I reverse engineered, and by the way, Adam, also, I wanted to just say that those silences in that scene was an orchestra of sound to me, honestly. But I reverse engineered it because I knew that the horror stuff was just gonna flow out, and I have some experience doing that. But I wrote the end credits first. And the reason I did was because I wanted to have something emotional and lyrical and painful and healing. I mean, there's, maybe I achieved a small percentage of that as the first thing that I wrote, so that I could maybe drop little snippets of that into little moments, even during the horror. And I think the reason was that I was just always, compelled to talk about the pain and the healing of it as much as the boogeyman of it. Maybe more so. I think ultimately more so for me. Yeah, it was, I think, like what everybody has said. I think and another interesting moment was that Aaron and Linda offered to send me the script before shooting, and I declined because I said, and this often happens to me, which is that I didn't want to make my own movie in my head and score it in my head before I saw images. And once I saw the performances and the lighting and the setting of it, it kind of, I think I can just say it kind of just I just did what I felt it wanted me to do. So I don't think there was any particular magic to it, but really, honestly, I wrote the end credit first because the first thing I was attracted to was the idea of Aaron's personal pain and a survivor's pain in this, and whatever healing quality there could be in that. And that's what I look forward to eventually developing more as well.
And so you're not working, what I hear you say, am I hearing this right? You're not working chronologically through this. You're watching it several times. Things like the actors' performances are popping out at you, and you're having a conversation with the cut that you get.
Absolutely. Yes, that's absolutely the right take. And I did watch it, in fact, maybe even 3 times before I wrote a note. And it was obvious to me that I needed to go backwards in that regard. But I don't know the rhyme or reason for that, other than that was just something that I got pulled to. And I think, frankly, the atonality of the horror stuff and the non-thematic nature of horror environment is sort of, wild and risky, whereas risky is the wrong word, but wild and sort of undetermined, whereas having a little thematic material was something where I could connect. And then, I ended up really just in this, because we're only on for 12 minutes. I took, maybe 4 bars of that theme and plunked it into little spots. It happens the first time that we see Seth's character riding up, really in the opening credits. And then also when Adam sees Seth in the garage the first time. So anyway, it's a long-winded way of saying I did it from the back end first.
No, the process is fascinating. The process is fascinating because this film is so solid that everybody's process has come in at what I say, and with equal force. And I think that's one of the things that makes this such a strong film. So,
I agree.
Thank you.
There's a natural, thank you. I think there's a natural nature to everybody's not only acting, but even just the way that Aaron and Linda have laid it out, and the fact that it was his life, and it's his life, and so I think that there was it felt like a larger commitment, really, because it wasn't just a sort of a scripted, made-up character, even though that also can be a serious thing. But this just, I don't know, it had some weight to it for.
Right.
Yeah.
And Linda and Aaron, I think what Jay's saying is it's y'all's fault.
Yes.
All of it. It's your fault. I want to thank you all. I want to go to questions now. I hope we have enough time for some. I've got from Amy. She wants to direct this to Mark. She says, I just want to acknowledge Mark for his masterful subtlety in communicating. He was, in quotes, trustworthy to the child, but we could just see the glint of evil in him. So very nuanced and so skillful.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for saying that. I greatly appreciate it. I think that I'm going to give a lot of credit here to Seth. He actually was not going to be, when you set, sometimes you shoot scenes, sometimes you're not always talking to the actor, and Seth was there, and he has a great quality that Linda's talked about this, that actors spend their lives trying to get, which is to actually really listen and react honestly, and he was so great. It just, once we had already done all the work, it was just so easy working opposite him, and it seemed to just flow. But thank you for saying that.
You're welcome. I just wanted to say I watched the movie twice in a row, and I watched specifically for the second time because not knowing the story, when your character came in, I'm like, is this a good guy or a bad guy? I don't know. And then I'm like, well, he seems nice. Well, I think he's a good guy. And there was just this moment when there was like a sliding door over your eyes, when it was so subtle. You just went from good guy to like, it's like, how does he do that? I'm not an actor, so I don't know, but I'm like, I know who he is now, but it was so subtle. It just really, really impressive. So good for you.
Well, thank you for saying that. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And Jamie, now that for you, now that the work is completed, have you been a part of any other projects like this, short films or motion pictures?
Short films, yes. I've had the opportunity now to do this twice, this kind of consulting producer gig where my input has been taken into account. And it's fascinating because I've had a love of film since I was very small, and it's a thrill to me because I do think that pop culture, for lack of a better term, whether it is popular music, movies, things that people are able to access, just has such a potential to reach in a way that books and therapists even can't. So I'm very excited about it. And I do a lot of short teaching videos with my work, especially therapy demonstrations and yoga skills, mindfulness skills, whatnot. So, I mean, I've had an amateur hand in this world for quite some time. And it's been a great learning process for me just to see how all of this works from start to finish.
All right. Aaron and Linda, it's been a long road, and it's not over yet. But how do you feel now at this juncture? And what are we looking ahead to?
Well, first, I just want to say thank you again to every single one of you, because every time somebody made a contribution to the Kickstarter campaign, it was like a vote of your confidence. It was like saying, we love you, you can do this. I mean, it's really the only reason we're here today. And it's been, as you can see, the most collaborative process ever. I mean, it feels like we all created a sculpture together, like out of nothing. So thank you. It's just been an incredible process. We have sort of a three-pronged approach for this film. I mean, I think some people might have thought maybe we were making a feature by, how long we were working on it and how excited we were to be fundraising. But the short film market is vast. There's like a lot of people making amazing short films. And the life of a short film is slightly different than a feature in that its theatrical release is really the film festival market for the most part. And so we are definitely pursuing that on the international scale as we speak. And we're really excited about that. And because it's not only a piece of art and has entertainment value, it also is a cause-driven piece of content. And so that's why we're working with Jamie Marich and other industry professionals in the trauma and healing spaces to bring this film into therapeutic settings, into nonprofits, to talk with groups of therapists and even other survivors and use the film. It's like perfect. It's 12 minutes and there's time to talk about it, to ask questions, for people to share different experiences and to draw connections, and even to teach with it, because not everybody, and what was said about Adam's performance is so true. He, our goal was, Aaron wanted to give people a sense of what it's like to have PTSD, for what it's like to be, having those traumatic emotions happen. And I think Adam really was the, was a major vehicle for that in this film. And thank you. And of course, all the other creatives put together. So, and, we also, we hope to make a feature version of Garage. Aaron has written the novel Garage. We've got a feature, we've got it's sort of like a whole brand in a way.
Aaron, I have a question for you about the films or filmmakers that inspired you during this creative process.
Wow, there's so many, but I'll just rattle off a few. Some of my favorite movies are the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Psycho, Halloween, Silence of the Lambs, Rosemary's Baby. There's a theme here, but
romantic comedies is what you're saying.
Yeah, romantic comedies. But I love the Coen brothers, and but I will say, actually, there is one thing that has probably helped me more than any. And during the pandemic, Roger Deakins started a podcast. Roger Deakins is the best cinematographer. One of the best, but he's just phenomenal. He started this podcast, and he was so bored that he did one every day where he'd have a guest on from the entertainment industry and talk about the different elements of filmmaking. And I would take a walk every day and listen to those. And that podcast, you should all check it out, inspired me probably more than anything. So
it's called Team Deakins, right?
Yeah.
Team Deakins.
I have a question here for Seth. Seth, are you still around?
Yes, I'm still here.
There you go. I understand that you had this question says that you had a stunt coordinator on set. Could you tell us about that?
It wasn't really much of a stunt. It was my first stunt, but like what you see on other shows, it's not really much like that. But he was showing me how I should be squirming when Corey Mark picked me up and was taking me into the garage.
And your legs, did he talk to you specifically about your legs?
Yeah, he told me to kick and squirm, but not too much, because then it would look kind of fake.
Right. Well, your stunt coordinator is very talented, and so are you, Seth.
Thank you.
Aaron and Linda, we're nearing the end. We got about 3 minutes left here, and I wonder if you have some things you want to say before we leave.
Yeah. First of all, again, thank you. It did feel, compared to writing a novel, which is extremely lonely and desperate. If you can imagine me in a dark room crying every day, that's what it was like. And the film has been the opposite. Working with all of these talented people, we feel like the pandemic really helped us, because I think it feels to me like we were able to get the best actors, the best producers, the best of everything, really. And it was so exhilarating to work with all these talented people. It was unlike anything I've ever done before. It was, and I think, you know, back to the theme of trauma, you can feel so isolated and alone and unheard. And to have all of these really talented people around you working extremely hard to tell my story was, I mean, it's like one of the most incredible experiences I've ever had. And to me, when I watch the film, I see everybody's work in there, you know, and it's just, it's an experience that will like resonate, you know, for the rest of my life, I think. So, and it began with the Kickstarter campaign and all of the people here who, you know, were jumping in to be a part of it. And it just, so I don't know, it's really difficult to put into words how meaningful this has all been. And I love all the, you know, I love just having all of you in my life now. So, and you're in it, whether you like it or not. Yeah.
Linda, anything you'd like to say in parting?
No, I mean, if anybody, you know, has any other questions, you know, feel free to unmute yourself, but I think this has been a lovely hour. And like I said at the beginning, if you haven't had a chance to see the film yet, hopefully you have. We'll keep that link open through Monday.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say in closing on my part, what an honor and a privilege it's been to be a witness to the incredible talent and the incredible personal and financial commitment that you all have made. Congratulations. You should all sleep very good tonight.
Thank you, everyone.
And thank you to all our moderators, to Robin, to Holly, and to Jen Mello for helping us moderate the room and filter all the questions. Couldn't have done it without you.